There are two kinds of people in this world. The people who fail to do what they know they should, and those who keep doing things they know they shouldn't. Guess what? You're both. Hi, I'm your podcast host and life and business coach, Marcy Barker, aka your loving kick in the pants. In this podcast, I'll teach you the 6 steps of my accountability code framework that will enable you to wake up with clarity and show up with aligned action steps that make follow through easy and peaceful. When you're ready for more, head to marcybarker.com and we'll chat about your next goal. All right, let's dive in. Hello, my beautiful people. All right, today we're going to talk about implementing because we are following along with the process of the accountability code. So if you don't know what the code is, first of all, go get my audiobook. You can get it for free. Go to marcybarker.com or bossminded.com and you can get the audiobook for free. Or you can listen to all this good content on my podcast also for free. I'm such a nice person. So, all right, we're talking about implementing. Implementing is the 4th step of the accountability code. And that means we have to do the first 3 steps first, which are reflection, humility, and planning. So feel free to go back to those episodes first if you want to, or you can just talk about implementing, which is also great because implementing is putting into use your desired skills or values. And implementing is actually one of the biggest reasons that people hire me as their loving kick in the pants. And that's because a lot of times people just don't do the things that they know they should. So implementing, I'm going to say it probably 5 times on this podcast, is putting into use your desired skills or values. This does not mean being perfect. This literally is the opposite. It's like, just try, give us your first draft and see what happens. And I'm in the middle of my accountability accelerator right now. And in my accelerator, this is where I meet with all of my clients. We have a 8-week goal that we're trying to accomplish. And one of my clients, we were talking about planning the last step, and she's like, how come when I plan stuff, it doesn't always happen? And we talked about how planning is just not the end game. A lot of people might make a plan, but if you plan and you write stuff down, it doesn't mean that it's actually going to happen. And another one of my clients was also saying the same thing of like, I plan stuff and then I think I'm going to go and do it, but then I don't do it. And I told her there's a couple of reasons for that. And one could be that it's just a new skill for you. So it's like saying, I'm going to go hop on a motorcycle. When it's like, you've never even ridden a motorcycle though. So you probably need to put into your plan, go talk to people who own motorcycles, maybe get on the back of a motorcycle and see what that actually entails. So with implementing, another reason why people might not take action is that with their plan, it wasn't really aligned with what they wanted to do in the first place. Because if you put into place a plan that actually sounds fun for you, then you're more naturally going to want to go and do it. So just keep that in mind. Like, there are very specific steps that need to happen in order for you to be the most effective. So implementing is where we take action. Now, the accountability code comes in 2 parts. We know wake up is the first part, reflection, humility, planning, and showing up is implementing, commitment, and feedback. So we are making the jump from planning to implementing. So I want you to recognize that now showing up means just doing stuff. It doesn't mean being perfect, but it means you just have to start taking action. So I want you to look at your plan or even your tasks that need to get accomplished and ask yourself, how can I just start doing them? So some of the things that my clients are working on right now is writing email sequences, showing up on social media, building their community, communicating with their spouse or their children to make home a more enjoyable place to be. And all of those things, there's not a right way to do them all, but they can all be accomplished in one way or another. So implementing for you, you just have to recognize what matters to you and then start doing it. Now I feel like I'm a broken record, like Nike, just do it, just do it, just do it. And in a way, that's really what you need to do. But what makes implementing different in the accountability code is that we've gotten clarity on what we're actually doing first. So I want you to just think about, in my little intro where it says, there's 2 different kinds of people. You're either doing things you know you're not supposed to, or you're not doing things you know you should. Ask yourself which side of the scale you're falling on most. Are you the kind of person who just thinks and thinks and thinks and you don't do anything? Because if that's you, then that means you've just got to try something. Break down your action items into the smallest possible options. Now, if you're the opposite and you're doing a lot of things that you know you shouldn't, then your implementing actually might require that you take a pause or you slow down. Quite a few people in my program today on our group call, they were talking about how they are very fast decision makers. They'll do a lot very quickly, but they tend to make decisions that bite them in the butt. So for you, I want you to think about implementing. You might see it as a piece of cake, but I want you to challenge yourself to do those first 3 steps first to make sure that you're implementing actually is supporting your long-term goals.
Hey, my beautiful people. The message of waking up and showing up is yours for the taking. In fact, it's completely free. All you got to do is take this quick action. I've recorded my entire audiobook and I'd love for you to consume it between episodes. Head to marcybarker.com to get instant access to the accountability code Wake Up and Show Up.
Okay, I want to tell you a story. It comes from the implementing chapter of my book, and this is called Implementing Contributions. And the reason why I want to share this is because even though you may be working on business goals, what directly influence how you're able to work on your business is your home and your family life. So in this story, I talk about how I got to a point in my life and my business where I was like, I cannot do all of my business tasks and do the dishes and vacuum and do all the laundry and meal prep and drive the kids everywhere. And there was a breaking point where I had to make the responsibilities spread out because I couldn't do them all. So implementing, again, remember, it's not about being perfect. It's just about doing stuff. So implementing contributions is a lesson that you can do with your family. Here's how it goes. You sit everybody down in your family and you say, let's talk about all of the things that need to happen in order for us to have the life that we want to have. And you can set your business aside and just talk about family and home life at first, but your kids or your spouse might say things like, okay, well, we have to eat, laundry needs to be done, the dog needs to be fed, we need to exercise, the bills need to be paid. You can literally list out as many things as you want to, and then what you do is you ask your family who's responsible for what. And this might be really frustrating to hear them all say that they think you are responsible for it, but this is the opportunity to say, no, actually, we have to start doing things that we value, and you guys have to learn skills that are going to make you successful people and successful adults, because I can't be doing everything for you for the rest of your life. And it's also not sustainable for me as the mom or the main person in the house to be doing everything. So when you're putting all of the tasks that need to be implemented, this is where you start asking people who can be responsible for what. Now, let's just take the example of dishes. Let's say that somebody else is in charge of dishes from now on. And let me tell you something kind of embarrassing, okay? Back when I started implementing contributions in my household, my husband's job around the house, he had one job, and this is embarrassing, and I can tell you this because it's not this way anymore, but my husband's one job around the house was to unload the dishwasher. Isn't that silly? Like, I was responsible for everything else around the house, but it was his job to unload the dishwasher, and I still had to tell him when it needed to be done, and I still had to tell him where things went in the kitchen. The reason why I say that's ridiculous is because that's the way that I was operating at that time in my life. Probably 7 or 8 years ago, when my youngest was 2 or 3 years old, and the reason why it's ridiculous is because that is not a very fun way to live unless you have decided that you want to be the maid and the butler and the chef for your family for your whole life. But that was not in the cards for me. That's not what I decided that I wanted to do. It also wasn't in line with what Aubrey and I wanted for our future. He was 100% on board with me starting a business and supported me doing that, but it took us quite a while for us to catch up to the contributions that needed to be implemented around our home. So as you are doing this with your family, I want you to know it's going to be uncomfortable. Just like I said with my clients, like maybe taking action is hard because you don't know how to do it yet. So implementing contributions might be a challenge because you're not sure how to let people do things, or you might be real particular about the way the dishwasher is loaded. And I'm just here to tell you that Implementing is not just doing things better, but it also includes not doing things that aren't your responsibility or that don't require your brain to be in charge of everything all the time. So with your long list of things that need to be done, this is where you start to assign different people in your household, different responsibilities, and then you just practice. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about putting forth your first draft and learning and collecting information to see how things can go. One other thing I want to point out is that in the coming weeks, as we continue the series and the podcast, that next week is commitment and the following week is feedback. So implementing is not where it ends either. This is literally just you trying and you moving forward and you practicing those skills. I'll just tell you right now, your household is not going to be a well-oiled machine in a couple of weeks. This is going to take a long time for everybody to adjust. And it also might take an extra long time if you don't relinquish control of doing certain tasks. Now, I'm happy to report that now in my household, my husband does a lot more than unload the dishes. He makes dinner quite a bit. He does a lot of their carpooling. He is really in tune with what the kids are doing at school, and we're pretty balanced in what we do. And of course, there's always conversations to be had if either of us feels a little bit overwhelmed or we're doing too much. But for the most part, implementing is something that's never going to stop. So we're going to continue to adapt and continue to communicate. So what I want you to know and learn and solidify with this week's podcast episode on implementing, I just want to encourage you to just try. Just start doing the things that matter to you and just start taking action on the things that make you happy and that will make a difference for you and your family and your business in the long run. Again, remember, you do not have to be perfect. I don't know how I can stress that enough. Implementing is not the final step and it's not the end of the game. This is the process. This is where you become the kind of person that is going to accept all of the goals and all of the rewards that come from your work. So I hope you have a fantastic week. I want you to count your successes. I want you to give yourself credit where credit is due. And I want you to let go of some of the things that are really not making you happy and they're holding you back from the goals that really matter. So I'll see you next week for another episode of Your Loving Kick in the Pants.
Thank you for listening, friends. If you got value out of this episode, I would love for you to drop a review or share this with a friend. Let's be real. Let's spread the word because we all know someone who could use your loving kick in the pants.